updates, but of course, this is the show that informs you, and I'm glad that Simba is looking very good today. Simba, good morning.
Good morning, Ankey. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm fine.
By the way, I do not understand why it is raining in September. This weather, and then it's been quite confusing this year because the entire of August, by the way, except for just a couple of days, we were complaining about how cold it was.
True.
Then we got a 1 week break and back at it again. I mean, since June, by the way, early June up to now. In fact, April, when we go back,
May.
man, we've been struggling with cold. But anyway, it's a good morning from wherever it is that you're watching us. Remember, you can be part of this at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. What we are doing is that we are looking at all our eyes, by the way, are on Ruto, isn't it?
Yes,
just
the president-elect.
As he tries to craft his cabinet, and we've seen a lot of talks of whether it's going to take the same direction that the outgoing president, that is President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, took when he created new positions, by the way, CAS position, just to award his allies who were very instrumental in his campaign that saw him rise to presidency. But then, Ankey,
Yes.
it is a bit not here nor there, because indeed it was part of this government. So you would imagine that majority of the guys who are in the current cabinet are his friends, isn't it? So it's going to be a bit a challenge for him to say, can you get out? I've got somebody else who's going to come in, given the fact that he's been really allies in that particular government.
I think for politics, and then now when you come, set aside politics and get into professionalism, because, you know, politicians are also in a profession. So perhaps the friendship might come to a halt, you know, put aside for a second there. And then we take a look at what new faces we're coming in with, because for sure, Simba, even during the campaign, we did see a number of faces, both old and new, really near Ruto, campaigning for him. We're looking at people like Musalia Mudavadi, we're looking at people like, you know, Sholei, among other names that we'll be looking at even as we look at the dailies. And now what we are seeing here is what they call on the headlines a scramble for Hustler's cake. Sorry about that. Now, the Hustler's cake is pretty much these positions and much more. But the question, like you have put it, is he going to have to do what he has to do as head of state and put aside what we call friendship? Well, we get to see once Ruto, of course, takes over power. It's going to be quite interesting.
By the way, even as we talk about that, we've seen other guys who are talking about the possibility of being in that government. Let me just go back a bit. Justina Wamai, yeah, the former Roots Party running mate to Wajakoya. She's come out saying, mina nataka kazi bwana. DP, new president-elect now, if you're listening to me, give me that work, give me that job. Magoha has also come out to say, listen, I'm in no way asking for the current president-elect, William Ruto, to give me a job. But in fact, he said, in fact, I'm on record saying that I don't need that job. But if he feels that he may want to recall me back to that particular position, I've also seen CS for tourism, Najib Balala, really congratulating the president-elect William Ruto, maybe just to be on the good side, Ankey, because we do know those names are getting drafted right now as we speak, because he's got to figure just how to balance his government then to start running his business in just a couple of days to come.
And of course, we get to look at what the dailies have for us this morning. Before we jump into what's trending, most of what we are actually, you know, touching as a glimpse of what is currently going on as far as the political status quo is concerned will be highlighted in the newspaper review. So don't go too far away. And don't forget to talk to us in the comment section. Right now on Facebook, we are live. Use the hashtag The Morning Drift on Twitter as well. You can go even further to YouTube. We'll be right back with the newspapers. Well, the 7th of September, the year 2022, one of the most informative pullouts, and of course dailies are mainly the Standard and the Daily Nation. Simba, I am holding the Daily Nation, and I told you for sure, everyone now is looking at, the new president-elect Ruto and how is then going to be able to put himself together and his team and the cabinet for that matter. Now, what the Daily Nation has highlighted here vividly are different faces that they term spoiled for choice. Now, I'm looking at eyes on cabinets, scrambled for hustlers, cake, and hustler here then refers to, William Ruto, who people say has been a chicken seller. Not people say, that is really his story. A young boy from Sugoi, has risen from being a chicken farmer or chicken seller to now deputy president, and now we are seeing him as the incoming president. Now, I'm seeing faces like Musalia Mudavadi, Davis Chichir, Justin Muturi, Kithure Kindiki, Alfred Mutua, Moses Kuria, Ababu Namwamba, Josephat Nanok, Salim Mvuria and Paris Tobiko, Moses Wetangula, Amason Kingi, Hassan Omar, and Gladys Sholay. All these faces here are the main faces highlighted on this particular newspaper as the key faces that are eyeing the cabinet. Now, spoiled for choice, if I'd read that further before we cross over to Simba and take a look at the Standard, they're saying as the dust settles on the Supreme Court victory confirming his election as president, William Ruto embarks on the journey of crafting a government that not only has the capacity to push his agenda, but also fulfill the promises he made to politicians who backed his campaign. Simba, you're seeing that. Politicians who backed his campaign and were clever enough to extract promises of government roles, key allies from way back, like you mentioned, and technocrats who crafted campaign strategies and position papers. Familiar faces right there, and a splash of new few greenhorns are lining up for the spoils. And really, this particular update is taking page 2, 3, 4, and 5. How does it look for you, Simba?
Right, let's look at exactly what we have on the Standard as you wake up this morning, just to see exactly what they're talking about. They are also headlining Ruto's validation by the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Now they're saying inside Ruto's government, and this is exactly how we opened the show this morning, because indeed that's what it is right now. Is looking into it and saying, how am I going to balance my cabinet? Am I going to open new positions in that cabinet? Because we've seen in other times, Uhuru Kenyatta in his latest reshuffle to the cabinet, we did see him slashing some positions, also now consolidating ministries into one. We're going to wait and see whether that's exactly what he's going to do. On this, they're saying President-elect faces the Herculean task of making a cleaner break from outgoing administration, which was part of and crafting a quality cabinet with a competing regional and agenda interests, as well as rewarding allies who stuck with him in the face of intense pressures. We take a sneak preview into William Ruto's administration. So they're giving that a center stage in terms of how then Ruto is going to shape his cabinet. And they're also giving you pointers into some of the stories that you're going to expect today. They're just saying why outgoing president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, has been quite cold, all right, in this reception to Ruto's win. They're also talking about how indeed, now Rachel Ruto, your new first lady, has risen from a village girl to first lady. Was asking Ankey, every other man is a village boy and a village girl.
Yes.
Isn't it?
No, I wouldn't say that really. There's some people who are born in Nairobi, no city life, that's all they know. Village boy, village girl, not all of us.
When you trace your roots, you gotta be a village boy and a village man and a country boy.
Let's get this right. Let's put it in perspective. We all have an origin, right? We all have a place we call home, and that is what you call your roots, fine. But when we say village boy and village girl, do we mean that you grew up there, all right? That's the environment you knew. That was your first environment. Or are we talking about your roots?
Oh, yeah?
Where were you raised?
As it?
I think so. I think.
when you trace it by every other person who's in the city, when you really want to identify who you are, at the end of the day, every other person is a village man and a village woman.
I don't know what the viewer thinks. Let's have to, get to hear what they have to say on our social media.
Yeah.
However, Simba, even as we're looking at the cabinet, we're also seeing something with the parliament, the 13th parliament, and on page 4 of the Daily Nation, highlighting what they call a crowded field. At least 15 people had picked the nomination papers for the Senate Speaker by 3 p.m. yesterday, and the Constitution ranks National Assembly Speaker as the third in command after the President and his deputy. Now, what I see here is that Azimio, Kenya Kwanza lock horns in battle to control parliament. And they're saying none of the coalitions is capable of winning the vote in the first round, which requires a 2/3 majority. If you want to read more on that, it's going to be quite an interesting parliament.
As it is. But then, Ankey, there's a story here on page 7 of the Standard, and everybody does know that. Now we do have Diana Chepkemboi, by the way, who arrived yesterday, isn't it?
I saw videos of her
Saudi
yesterday.
Arabia was getting received by the mother, that's Clara Gerotich, and other relatives at the JKIA. But that's not even the talking point, Ankey. The talking point is this. Even as she was getting received at JKIA, on the side of that, again, a group of young women were just about to leave the country again to Saudi Arabia to seek for jobs. Even as she was telling a story that, look here, I'm not the only one. There's so many of us who went to Saudi Arabia just with the promise that we're going to make a buck once we're there. We got there, things turned around. But Ankey, interesting, just on the side of that, there are some of them were dressed in white t-shirts and just for the bureau that is taking them out of the country to go to Saudi Arabia again to look for these jobs. Quite a sad story. Maybe that's one area that Ruto's government really has to look into. The unemployment numbers for the youth in this country. If you're going to do anything, then this is a priority point for you. It's a sad story that regardless of what they know, what Diana was telling us, exactly how she suffered, they still got to go.
But Simba, I seem to want to have this conversation further. Why then do they insist? Is it really that there are no jobs here?
Yeah. Ankey, why would you leave?
I don't know. I would reserve my comments right now because it's
Ankey, do not.
There are other jobs in Saudi Arabia.
There are other jobs in Saudi Arabia.
That's
indeed,
my point.
No, but there are no jobs here in this country for the youth. Because the only reason you leave is because you've tried to look for that job and it's not there. Look at Diana's story.
I understand Diana's story. The condition out there, Simba, domestic workers out there, they have been warned, and we saw the authorities come out to say we have warned you. Now there is need for a proper conversation around this. All right, there are policies that also were put in place. You understand? And it's just important that at the end of the day, we understand that these girls are actually making that decision.
But here's what somebody's going to ask you. I was like, fine, you come in, you warned us against going to Saudi Arabia and all that. But these agencies that are getting these ladies from this country to Saudi, then why you give them this license to operate? But then why can't you provide these jobs here locally so that they don't have to go? Ankey, at the end of the day, what is the problem? Unemployment.
All right, I agree with you, but I think we need to have this conversation further, including what these particular ladies have to say. So if you're watching us this morning, let us know. Even if you're in Saudi Arabia, the comment section is open. Why are you in Saudi Arabia? Did you get the warning? And how is the situation right now? As we wrap up the newspaper review, Raila has been highlighted, of course, on page number 8 of the Daily Nation, saying, Raila, the hero who keeps coming within inches of victory and glory. Keeps coming. I picked that. You want to read more on that particular story on the dailies, and much more coming in shortly on the Simba. What are we doing? Trending? Yes. So we're coming back with what's trending on the social media platforms this morning.
Badilisha maisha yako na kuachua chapa. Jishindie shilingi 1,150 pesa taslimu kila siku kupitia vipindi maarufu uvipendavyo katika runinga ya Look Up TV. Maelekezo ili ukaweze kuwa mshindi ni rahisi sana. Kwa simu yako ya mkononi, ingia kwenye M-Pesa. Elekea kwa Paybill, weka nambari 636395. Kwa account name andika neno Look. Kisha kwa amount weka shilingi 99 au 99 shillings. Kwa M-Pesa Paybill weka nambari 636395. Account name andika Look. Amount weka shilingi 99 au 99 bob peke yake. Kumbuka, unavyocheza mara nyingi ndivyo unavyoongeza nafasi zako za kuwa mshindi. Unasubiri nini? Badilisha maisha yako leo na kuachua chapa. Mchezo huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB na ambao hawajafikisha miaka 18 hawajaruhusiwa kucheza. Cheza kwa kuwajibika.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Naru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly one-year installments plan.
Africa. Our economy has a bit. It never stops, always beating. Our business, the next global economic frontier. Let's talk African business.
All right, welcome back. This is the Morning Drift, and we're talking about what is trending now on social media. Simba, before we took a short breather, we were talking about Saudi Arabia, Diana, Chep Kemoi's story, and the other girls were now just leaving the country to Saudi Arabia. So this is actually trending as we're speaking for that particular reason. Diana Chep Kemoi is actually trending on Twitter. Yes.
And Ankey, like I was telling you, and I think majority of the comments are going to say around that story or around that feed.
Yes.
It's just going to be Kenyans really saying, then why do we have majority of them going? By the way, even some of them, I was reading the same story for how Kenyans then will leave the country with a promise that there are better opportunities outside. Some of them were actually getting recovered from Myanmar, of all the places, Ankey. And then, somebody comes in and tells you to pay this much, all right? You're going to get employed, and you pay that because you got to pay to go. Because they come in and tell you, we're going to process your work ID, we're going to process your job and everything, and then after that, we fly you out. You start earning. Then out of whatever it is that you earn, we as an agency are going to take a commission. And you look at exactly what they're promising, Ankey. And I know you can't leave if you don't feel like it's a good deal.
Yeah.
So look at it and then say, it's a beautiful deal. Let me go. Listening to what Diana was saying, yeah? She narrated a very painful story of exactly how it happens. So once you get there, that's when you realize that maybe even the only people that get paid, by the way, Ankey, is your agency, not you. You don't get paid. So you get there, you try to contact your agency might not be there to help you. Your passport is picked by your employer. So in one way or another, you have no voice. You have no voice. And majority of these girls, by the way, will go out. They're not even trained on exactly what they gotta do in case things go wrong. Some of them don't even know where the Saudi Arabian Kenyan embassy is if you really need help. They never tell you these things. So you get there, you're in a black spot, and by the way, and then nothing happens. By the way, Ankey, on that Diana story, she's a very close friend to one of my friends as well. And we started learning this story way before it happened. Okay. So when you're looking at those messages that she was sending, you're like, what is going on?
Simba, I agree with you. Yes, quite disheartening the situation is. However, my question to these girls is, and my advice would be, don't make that move until you pick up that particular information you said. Do a bit of research, ask a number of questions, before you actually make the decision. Because these are not, most of the age group that we're talking about are not under 18 years old.
But
if they do ask these questions, until there's clarity, Simba, until there is clarity.
But by the way, Ankey, fine.
Because that's what I want to hear from them. I don't want to speak from a point of, this is the assumption. Or if we could actually hear Diana's story, because it was highlighted even in our own TV yesterday when she actually spoke to the press, we'd want to understand under what circumstances.
See, the thing
it could be frustration, I understand. But as an adult who's going out responsibly out of another country to actually earn, you need to ask certain questions. If it is not clear, do not proceed.
But another question is, there's a disconnect when you listen to these things. Can I tell you where they're recruiting right now as we speak? If you go to Uhuru Park, you will see long lines of people trying to register. You go in because they're saying, well, we are only going to call you once an employment opportunity arises.
Yes.
That's it. So it's like, Ankey, I tell you right now, come in into this agency and then apply. Once we have a job that will fit your description or your qualification, we're going to call you. Whose role is it later on then, Ankey, actually, because that's a job that's outside this country, to make sure that any other person who leaves this country then goes to this particular job? That's the government, and I will blame the Ministry of Labour for just not making it clear to any other person who's living in this country. Then it's exactly what you got. I mean, how protected are you, Ankey, when you live the same way you're protected in this company? The things that your employer cannot do. Then why do we let these things happen as a Labour Ministry to the people who live this country and go work? Because they're still Kenyans.
I still come back to civic education. Is this information open to the public? Is this information open to the public? If it is open to the public, I know we have the Ministry of Labour to talk to. We have many other agencies to touch on. But I still go back to the Mwananchi, and I will continue to insist. If there is information in the public domain that you can access and read, even as you wait to be called in, please do that. I know, Simba, but you see, Diana was rescued. The word is rescued from Saudi Arabia, which is very disheartening to even read and hear. And you saw how teary her mother was. That reunion, that was really deep. But of course, we're seeing that Diana was stranded in Saudi Arabia, landed in Kenya earlier yesterday, and Chepkemoi Moi caught Kenya's attention after photos of her looking, malnourished and all that actually surfaced on social media. How many more are still in Saudi Arabia? And like Simba and I highlighted, how many more are still going to Saudi Arabia? That is trending right now. A lot of Kenyans have, come out with different reactions on social media as far as that is concerned. Mike Sonko came out to also comment on the same, just showing pictures of that particular reception when Diana actually got to Kenya, saying tears of joy as Diana Chepkemoi finally arrives at JKIA from Saudi Arabia. She's received by her mother, of course, Clara, and other relatives. And of course, those photos are actually out in the public domain. So Simba, that is what really happened. And still, I saw Honorable Brighton Yegon, Member of Parliament. You do realize he was really at the forefront for this. Maybe leaders should also work a little, better. The incoming leaders are watching. They understand what this means to families and these particular Kenyans. I'll leave it at that, Simba.
And then, I will still also see Gideon Moi trending this morning. That's Kenyans really asking what happened. He appeared in a plaster around his arm. Thing is that he had fallen during this campaign, so he twisted his arm, went for surgery. Is recovering. Kalonzo Musyoka visited him yesterday. Again, Musyoka will also be trending on the side of that because then he pulled out of that race for National Assembly Speaker. Senate, was it Senate Speaker or National Assembly Speaker? I'm getting myself, Senate Speaker position. Now, we do have just a couple of names that are on my list. I just saw them this morning. Here they are. There's only Kenneth Marende, Amason Kingi, Hassan Omar, and Stewart Mazayo. Kalonzo Musyoka pulled out. Probably that's what was trending as well.
And as you talk about Gideon Moi as well, on Twitter, I'm seeing highlighted here by Kenyans.co.ke that they're saying Wiper leader Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka revealed that Gideon Moi actually underwent a surgery.
Yeah.
All right.
So they visited him yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, Ankey, there's a team that is getting beaten every day
Oh,
nowadays. I don't even know why. Yeah, they're trending. I don't even know why people talk about Arsenal. There's a team called Chelsea, and I know a couple of fans in this company that support Chelsea. They're now talking about Tuchel out. Yesterday, they went out to play in the Champions League. They were whipped. Just before they went to play out in the Champions League, they were whipped in the league as well. So you look at it and you say, what's going on? Now they want Tuchel out. That's Chelsea. They lost yesterday. That is the match 1 of the UEFA Champions League. Again, Man United and Arsenal are not playing in that, so I wonder why Man United fans are walking around like the big boys. You guys are playing with us in the Europa League. We're going to play on Thursday together.
Simba, could you let Man United... By the way, I want to give a shout-out to a very important person in the newsroom as far as Man United is concerned. He knows himself, but pretty much that's it.
and Mukaman? These guys have got no grip on themselves.
Simba,
fans who don't know where they support that team.
You know you made a promise to me the other time when we bet on what Arsenal was going to do.
Yeah, if we weren't going to play in the top 4.
So, did you?
No, but the league is not even done yet.
Okay.
We're going all the way up to next year.
All right, I'm still waiting on you to wear that dress.
I cannot say that.
JKIA is, trending still. Orengo is trending. We have a hashtag called Thief trending. We have Al-Shabaab trending, Help, and the Supreme Court also trending. So you need to check a bit of those on social media, especially on Twitter. I think it's really interesting what's going on Twitter today. But is that a wrap for social media, Simba?
That's it. Now, let's take a short break right here on the Morning Drift. Once we come back, I will be taking you all the way to the newsroom so we can see exactly what headlines that you are waking up to in as far as our newsroom is concerned.
Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. My name is Maggie Wambogo, Sales Manager of Optiven Real Estate, and I'm here at our head office, Absa Towers, located at Reuters Street. Today, I'm here to talk about our newest project, that is Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki, and it is located only 10 minutes drive from Cedar Mall. And in this project, we have proposed that we will be having a GMC Entertainment Center. This will be a replica of what we have in Kitengela, GMC Kitengela. We are also proposing a police post, so you are assured that security, once you invest here, security is good. And we are also proposing to have a playing ground. We are also going to have a community ground. So once you invest here, you don't have to worry about the security. The other things, among the things that we are doing, or the things that we have done already in Great Oasis Gardens, we have already done the marking fence, and the roads, the internal roads are already happening. We have started the malaming the road, and we are still in the process of doing the malaming of the internal roads. And we are also sinking a borehole so that we ensure that our investors in Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki, will not struggle with water. We are also going to elevate a water tower so that we have a constant supply of water in this project. And we also have a caretaker on site. The caretaker is on site and he's there 24/7. And then we also have different sizes in this project. We are having 8, we are having quarters, we are having halves, and we are also having acres. One can buy in bulk, you can buy in big chunks, and that is why we are saying in Great Oasis Gardens, Nanyuki, we are saying that bigger is better. In this project, what you can invest in, you can invest in private schools. You can also do holiday homes, whereby you can do Airbnb. You can also do holiday homes, and then you start renting, and you can also build houses and sell. You can also do apartments in this area. You can also do supermarkets. You can also build a mall, and then you start renting. There is so much that you can do in this project because it is not controlled development. We are also located along Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, and this road is being proposed to be tarmacked by the government. So coming from Nanyuki or coming from wherever you be coming from, it will be very easy to access the project because it is touching the Nanyuki-Rumuruti Road, which is going to be tarmacked by the government. My number is +254 722 355 107. Do not be left behind. Call that number. I will work with you. If you are in Kenya, give me a call. We go for the site visit. We select the project. We start the payment. If you're in diaspora, send a representative, and I will be delighted to work with you. And as we say here in Optiven, we shine because you make us shine. God bless you. Thank you.
Welcome back. The Transitional Committee has declared Tuesday, 13th September, a national public holiday to allow the swearing-in ceremony of the President-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua. In a press conference Tuesday, head of the Transitional Committee, who is also the head of Public Service, Joseph Akinywa, said the ceremony will be held at Kasarani Stadium and preparations are in top gear to facilitate a smooth handover of power. Our reporter, Henry Tende, with more.
A day after the Supreme Court made a judgment that President-elect William Ruto was validly elected as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, the Transitional Committee has set in motion preparations to facilitate a smooth swearing-in ceremony.
This is a real Kenyan gentleman. I know.
On Tuesday, the committee, led by Head of Public Service Joseph Akinywa, has declared the 13th of September, which is Tuesday next week, a public holiday in accordance with the provisions of the law to allow for the handing over of power to the new regime.
Would like to inform the nation that the swearing-in ceremony and inauguration of the new administration will be held in fidelity with Article 141 of the Constitution, being the first Tuesday following yesterday's decision by the Supreme Court upholding the declaration of the EIBC. That date is Tuesday, 13th September 2022, and the ceremonies shall be held at Moi International Stadium, Kasarani. The date of the swearing-in will be a public holiday of general observance throughout the territory of the Republic of Kenya.
These celebrations being a historical event among Kenyans, Akinywa has extended invitation for those who wish to attend and witness the ceremony to avail themselves at the Kasarani Stadium, which is the venue for this year's ushering in of the new governance.
To all Kenyans, as the leadership of our government transitions into the 5th administration, we are called upon to join hands and continue with the sacred work of building our nation, Kenya, a nation worthy of the sacrifices of our forefathers during the struggle for independence, and building the very best nation that we can bequeath to our future generations.
Akinywa has underscored the need for the nation to remain united during this transitional period and has called on Kenyans to work in concerted efforts once President-elect William Ruto takes over the reign in order to realize great strides of development.
With the presidential election cycle now behind us, the swearing-in and the inauguration ceremony is an opportunity for the nation to not only witness and usher in our nation's 5th administration, but also to celebrate the strength and vibrancy of our constitutional and democratic processes, which differentiates Kenya from so many other nations in Africa and beyond. For that reason, the eyes of Africa and indeed the rest of the world will be on Kenya on that day. In that regard, all Kenyans are invited to be part of this historic event.
The national government has set aside 200 million shillings to cater for the budgetary expenses, this even as the Kenyan Army officially takes over the operations of the Kasarani Stadium ahead of the swearing-in ceremony. Henry Tende, Look Up TV.
Well, William Ruto is set to be sworn in as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya following the verdict by the Supreme Court to uphold the election victory. As per the 2010 Constitution of Kenya, Ruto will be sworn in Tuesday, September 13th at the Kasarani Stadium. We take a look at the process of assumption of office.
President-elect William Ruto's win was upheld by the Supreme Court. A judgment delivered by the 7-judge bench led by Chief Justice Martha Koome dismissed the petition tabled by Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, putting William Ruto on the path to State House. It is a process that starts almost immediately after the announcement of the presidential results. On Tuesday 9th, Kenyans cast their ballot to elect their president and other leaders. 6 days later came the hour, and so did the man. William Samoei Ruto was the president-elect and would have been sworn in on 30th of August were it not for the Supreme Court petition. Now, after his victory was upheld, the country now counts 7 days to the date he is to be sworn in, the 13th of September. And in the wait, the process of transition is in motion. The process of transition to power is spelled out in the Constitution, with the Transition Committee mandated to ensure that everything goes according to plan. Article 141 of the Assumption of Office of the President stipulates that the President-elect shall be sworn in on the first Tuesday following the 7th day following the date on which the court renders a decision declaring the election to be valid if any petition has been filed under Article 140.
Thank you very much, Brian. Actually, the Assumption of Office Act provides that the President-elect should be sworn in 7 days after they are declared president. So if they are declared on 15th of August, you notice that they ought to have been sworn in that Tuesday before the petition was lodged. So the petition was lodged on Monday, right? But because of the petition process, which took 14 days, then there was need for an additional 7 days. So the 7 days will now start counting from yesterday. And then, of course, it also makes provisions that they ought to be sworn in between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.
With an incumbent having a sour relation with the president-elect, what could happen if the incumbent does not attend the ceremony then? We speak to Advocate of the High Court, Bruno Situma.
Because part of the inauguration ceremony involves the handover of the instruments of power. So the sword and all that, all those ceremonial instruments of power. So he might not agree with the person who has been elected by Kenyans, but it is vested upon him legally that he ought to attend. Now,
the president-elect, after being sworn in, then takes over.
One of the roles of the Assumption of Office Committee, it's not just a committee that ensures that that the president-elect becomes president, in the sense that he is given the ceremonial power. They have to ensure that the transition period is fully taken care of. The list of assets, the list of liabilities, they have to appraise the president on the current state of affairs in this country. What is happening around this country, and not just Nairobi, every corner of this country.
After the declaration, here is what ensues up until the president-elect is sworn in as the head of state. The outgoing head of state will welcome the next president of Kenya to the stage to make his address. The national anthem will be played as the presidential standard is changed to conform to the new administration. The outgoing president will then leave for State House to officially hand over the House on the Hill to his successor. In the meantime, the newly sworn-in president will then be driven around the stadium in an open Land Rover to greet Kenyans in attendance, after which he will be driven to State House for a final sit-down with the outgoing president. Brian Amuai, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
All right, let's move on that as well. Now, the landmark judgment of the presidential election results has been an emotive subject in Kenya, so much that since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, petitions to nullify presidential elections have been filed at the Supreme Court in 2013, 2017, and the just concluded 2022 elections. Well, Today, we take a look at the history of presidential election petitions, what necessitated it, and the impact of the court verdict that it has on the credibility of the electoral process.
The 2007 general election is arguably the most disputable poll in the history of Kenyan elections. The post-violence that ensued led to loss of lives, animosity, and destruction of immeasurable proportions. Following the chaos, the report by the Kriegler Commission urged Kenya to come up with a new constitution that was promulgated on the 27th of August 2010 that detailed on how any future dispute concerning election will be solved. The major avenue of this was to set up Supreme Court that would hear all issues regarding presidential election and make a ruling. In the 2013 presidential elections, there were 3 petitions seeking to invalidate Uhuru Kenyatta's win. The issues in contention were whether the president and his deputy were elected in compliance with the law, whether the election was conducted in a free, fair, transparent manner, or whether the spoiled votes should have been counted when determining total number of votes cast. A 6-bench judge led by former Chief Justice William Mutunga, however, upheld the election, stating that the elections were indeed conducted in compliance with the Constitution and the law. On the second issue, the court ruled that Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were validly elected and that the rejected votes ought not to have been included in calculating the final tallies in favor of each presidential candidate. The main petitioner, Raila Odinga, accepted the decision, but however disagreed with the Supreme Court judgment. Raila urged Uhuru to reunite all Kenyans and uphold constitutionalism. In the 2017 presidential elections, there were 3 issues of contention. If president election was conducted in accordance with the Constitution, whether there were irregularities and illegalities committed in the conduct of the 2017 presidential election, and if the irregularities were present, what was the impact, if any, on the integrity of the election? The 2017 election petition made history as the first presidential election in Africa to be nullified. The 7-bench judge led by Chief Justice David Maraga ruled in favor of the petitioners, saying that the presidential election was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution. The third respondent, who was the president, was not validly declared as president, and the first respondent, the IEBC, ordered to conduct a fresh election within 60 days. The decision was well received by the main petitioner, Raila Odinga, who termed the commission rotten and demanded resignations. President Kenyatta said he respected the court's decision, but also branded the judges as crooks. Following Raila's irreducible minimum demands that were not met, the NASA coalition did not participate in the repeat polls, leading to Uhuru Kenyatta's clear victory. In the 2022 elections, a 7-bench judge led by Chief Justice Martha Koome dismissed all 7 petitions on all 9 grounds, stating that the judges were not persuaded that the technology deployed failed to meet the standards of Article 86A on integrity. The court found no credible evidence to prove that anyone accessed, intercepted, or changed the voter results forms loaded on a public portal by the IEBC. The Supreme Court found no significant differences captured between the Forms 34A uploaded on the public portal and the physical Forms 34A delivered to the National Tallying Center that would have affected the overall outcome of the presidential election. Supreme Court also found no deliberate move to suppress voter turnout after it postponed some elections in parts of the country. On discrepancies, the court ruled that there is no evidence of unexplained discrepancies between votes cast in various election positions across the country and those cast in favor of the president. Further, the Supreme Court found that the power to verify and tally presidential election results vests not in the chairperson but in the commission, but ruled the commission only had disagreements at the tail end. The court also said the judges were not persuaded by the Amicus Courier Law Society of Kenya to review their position on the exclusion of rejected ballots in computing the total votes cast. The judges were also of the view that the pointed irregularities were not of such magnitude to affect the outcome of the presidential election. And ultimately, the court dismissed the presidential election petitions declaring the election of William Ruto as valid. The main petitioner, Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, have since accepted the ruling but disagree vehemently with the court's decision. The president-elect William Ruto has applauded the commission, terming chairperson Wafula Chebukati as an election hero. With the different views from the two political divides, whether the court decision impacts positively the electoral process solely remains with the electorate. Nancy Nalimer, Look Up TV.
Now, Kenyan lady Diana Chepkemoi, who was stranded in Saudi Arabia, landed in Kenya early yesterday. Chepkemoi caught Kenya's attention after photos of her looking emaciated surfaced on her social media. Her family, led by her mother, received her at a JKIA. Diana made her way back home after her mother, Clara Cheprotich, and her Kenyans on social media pleaded with the government for help.
Diana Chepkemoi is among the many Kenyan ladies who have opted to move to Saudi Arabia seeking greener pastures. The Meru University student was forced to defer her studies after failing to raise school fees, and in May she began her job in the Gulf.
I left Kenya to go to Saudi Arabia just with the hope I'll get maybe a better life afterwards.
Terming herself lucky, Diana thanked Kenyans and the government for listening to her plight. She further pleaded with the government to help the suffering Kenyan workers in Saudi.
Mine was just a tip of the iceberg. Watu wanateseka huko. People are suffering there. My friends are suffering there. It's just that mine, nilipata that voice. Nilipata support venye niliongea. But people are suffering there, and I'm just pleading with the government. Just please do something. Sure. People there are mentally tortured, psychologically tortured, and it's not fair. Sure. And it's a shame being told there's nothing you can do, there's nothing your government can do.
Her mother, on the other hand, couldn't hide her joy for seeing her daughter back alive.
I'm so grateful this afternoon that Diana is back. Yeah. I'm so grateful. I have extra, I can't explain my happiness with.
Mudeunda Lana, Look Up TV.
After the induction of new members, the 13th Parliament will finally start its sessions Thursday, 8th, according to a Gazette notice dated 5th of September, with its core business being the election of the Speaker in a hotly contested seat, pitting Kenya Kwanza against Azimio la Umoja Wana Kenya Alliance. Ian Ketani files the following report.
After the induction and familiarization of the new members of Parliament last week, the new Parliament is expected to hold its first sitting this week and will be presided over by President Uhuru Kenyatta, as President-elect William Ruto is yet to be sworn in. In its first sitting, the members will have to elect Justin Muturi's successor as the National Assembly Speaker, with a fierce battle expected between William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza and Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja. The President-elect William Ruto-led Kenya Kwanza has fronted Bungoma Senator Moses Masika Wetangula as their candidate for the Speaker post, while the Raila Odinga Azimio la Umoja has fronted Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka in what is expected to be a hotly contested seat. Legally, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance dominates the National Assembly with a majority of 167 MPs, while Kenya Kwanza has 158 members in addition to 12 nominated members of Parliament. However, the Kenya Kwanza team controls the assembly as it stands after the defection of Azimio allied MPs, including Tiati MP William Kamket of Kanu, Ugenya MP David Ochieng, Ali Roba's UDM allied members of Parliament. Kenya Kwanza has also nominated Uasin Women Representative Gladys Boss-Sholei as the Deputy Speaker, Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah as the Majority Leader, and South Mugirango Silvana Sosoro as the Majority Whip. In the Senate, the Azimio la Umoja has nominated Speaker Kenneth Marende to succeed Bungoma Governor as the Senate Speaker, while the Kenya Kwanza team has fronted former Kilifi Governor Amason Jeffa Kingi for the same post. Ian Keitani, Look Up TV.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has prayed to the court to flag down the graft case facing Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua. Our reporter Kariuki Nduati spoke exclusively to a constitutional lawyer on whether the Deputy President enjoys the presidential immunity.
Just a day after the Supreme Court upheld the election victory of President-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, it has emerged that the latter was scheduled to appear in court on Tuesday to answer to corruption cases. In details contained in court schedule and cases lined up for today, Rigathi Gachagua was to appear before Magistrate Wakumile alongside 9 of his co-accused. The case had initially been scheduled to take place on September 5th, 2022, but did not take place after it was postponed owing to the petition lodged that the Supreme Court by Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga, who was challenging the election results. But according to constitutional lawyer Bruno Situma, he says that if he is found guilty, then definitely he will not be eligible to uphold the public office.
I think the issue of the Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua ought to be differentiated from that of, for example, former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. Because what the law actually provides is you must have exhausted all the legal means. So I think Rigathi's case is just at the High Court level so far. What ought to be done is they have to exhaust all the legal means. The Supreme Court, perhaps the Supreme Court will have to make a determination on that. And it's only if he's found guilty all the way up that then he will be prevented from being able to hold public office.
The lawyer also added that it will be easy for a decision to be made out of the political season other than when the political heat is high in the country, is saying that if judgment is done during a political time, it will be termed as a political outcome.
So for me, it's a good thing that now he can concentrate on his case without political issues surrounding the case, because, for example, if the court were to find a verdict of guilty in an ongoing political season, more often than not, that will be concluded to be a political outcome rather than a legal outcome.
According to Bruno, is that the deputy president does not enjoy any political immunity, saying that it's only the president who enjoys the immunity.
Only a person who enjoys immunity from civil or criminal prosecution while in the office is the president. The deputy president will have to go through the rigors of that case.
Lastly, the weight of the case lies in the court. If found guilty, then definitely he will undergo trial.
He will certainly undergo trial like any other human being. Perhaps the expectation that comes with the high office that he holds, I expect that the court might actually dispense with the need for his personal attendance to court.
Kariuki Nduati, Look Up TV.
The now President-elect William Ruto has had what many people would call a bumpy ride in politics to ascend to the presidency seat. History has it that Ruto has never lost any political seat. But who's this man, Ruto? Moses Okech delves in.
You are worthy to be praised.
On the 9th of August 2022, the historical books wrote the 8th year general election since 1982 in the country, an election that saw many presidential aspirants before the approval of the 4 main contestants, among them Kenya's President-elect William Kipchirchir Arap Samoei Ruto. A renowned politician who from his early 1997 political journey and campaigns has never lost. He was part of the youth wing of the late President Moi's once dominant KANU party and was among the activists tasked with mobilizing voters for the country's first multi-party elections held in the same year. He has the reputation of being a powerful orator who drew huge crowds at rallies and put up a strong performance in media interviews up to date. From Kalenjins, the largest ethnic group in the country and which has produced the long-serving president, he is a politician and a botanist born in Sugoi, Uasin Gishu County on December 21st, in the year 1966. Ruto was married to Mama Rachel Ruto in the year 1991. His charm won her heart and together they have 7 children. In his early schooling, Ruto went to Kamagut Primary, then Wareng Secondary School, followed by Kapsagbet Boys High School for his A-levels. He joined the University of Nairobi, where he graduated with the Bachelor of Science in Botany and Zoology in 1990. He returned to the same university years later and graduated with a Masters of Science degree in 2011 and PhD in 2018. Ruto authored several papers, including a paper titled Plant Species Diversity and Composition of Two Wetlands in the Nairobi National Park, Kenya. Ruto's political star began to shine during the reign of former late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi when he joined the Youth for KANU movement, whose aim was to ensure that Moi wins the 1992 general election. At the time, the opposition was from Ford Kenya Party, Ford Asili and DP that were determined to defeat President Moi, who was in leadership for more than a decade at the time. In 1997, a general election, Ruto joined the race for the MP seat Eldoret Township on a KANU party ticket, where he marked the winner. During 2002 general elections, Ruto supported Uhuru Kenyatta, who was Moi's best choice to succeed him. In the year 2013 general elections, Ruto once again joined Uhuru Kenyatta and the two emerged winners, Kenyatta becoming the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya and Ruto sworn in as the deputy president in 2013 and 2017 respectively. October 2014, he served as acting president when Kenyatta briefly relinquished power to attend to his case at the ICC in The Hague, Netherlands. The cordial relationship between President Kenyatta and DP Ruto started experiencing constraints after the popular handshake between Kenyatta and the opposition leader Raila Odinga in 2018 that DP Ruto opposed, critics saying he became an outsider in the government he is part in. And now from a barefoot to wearing his first shoes at the age of 15, selling chicken and groundnuts by the roadside in rural areas of Rift Valley, it is no surprise to his coined phrase Hustlers Nation that is driven with the bottom-up approach, which will strive to help the poor in the country. One that will be lifted much as the rise of the country's Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who won the 9th August 2022 elections with a 50.49% of 7,176,141 total votes, is the president-elect after battling a Supreme Court petition challenging his victory. The Hustlers Nation will find its strength on the 13th September 2022 when Honorable William Samoei Ruto will be sworn in as Kenya's president. Moses Okech, Look Up TV.
Now, following the win at the Supreme Court, Kenya's fifth president, William Ruto, in his maiden speech yesterday, promised to fulfill all the promises he made during his campaigns. However, Kenyans have their expectations with the onset of the new administration under Ruto's latest.
With the Supreme Court upholding President William Ruto's win, Ruto is now Kenya's fifth president. Here are the expectation of the people of Kenya regarding the new government.
Alituonyesha yeye anaweza saidia watu wa chini. Suliona alijaribu kuleta wheelbarrow. Ni kumaanisha ni mtu wa chini anataka inuke. Sawa? Topo nini hiyo vitu alikuwa anasema ni kutoka chini mtu wa chini ainuke. Sawa? Afike kiwango ya watu wengine. Trist, unga ipatikane, unga irudi. Unajua waliteremsha sasa ni 200, tunataka irudi hata 90 kama kitambo.
Angalia kitu kama unga, sukari, whatever, pay imepanda, so ningebeda tu anguse hiyo.
Beto tufanyie ichekima vijana, sawa? Itugie pia si opportunity ya wira, umeona? Alafu pia iweze kuboresha historia health.
Ambia sisi kama watu wa Uber atukumbuke sana ili hata commission ziende chini, tukue na mahali tunaweza park gari hapa town tukishukisha na tukibeba, kwa maana hiyo ndio challenge tunapata hapa Nairobi. Na pia mafuta watu angalilia ishuke chini ili maisha ya kila mtu ishuke chini.
Make this business environment more friendly, cost of production, especially these business licenses, they should be looked upon in this Nairobi County.
Kenyans are hopeful that the new government under President William Ruto will focus on betterment of education, health, and the economy. Mudeunda Lana, Look Up TV.
So a very interesting tweet just immediately after the elections where Kenyans were saying, ni sawa, fifth wako ame fifth. lakini immediately anakuwa sworn in, sisi sote, the rest of us Kenyans, tutaenda opposition so that we keep him in check. Yeah, that is really then just making sure that he meets those promises that he gave us. But it's a good thing that he's coming out to say that he's going to meet all of them. By the way, top on that, the first 100 days that unga will come down, now let me tell you, to 65 shillings. Sitakuwa tu hapa tukisema hii unga ya 65 bob iko wapi after 100 days. Now, some of those stories are exactly what we're going to look into next. Later on, look at business, but then I'll be coming back again from 11 to 12 noon today, so that I can actually even get to tell you how that is going to be a challenge, because Tanzania has frozen export permits of maize into the country. Talk about starting on a hard note, but Ankey Dorice is going to come next as well and take you through what we talk about every Wednesday: fashion, well-being, and all proper conversations. I get up next. For now, I take a short break. I'll see you exactly after an hour. Good morning.